Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the East Riding of Yorkshire series. Together with the unparished city of Hull, it forms the county of the same name. There's 172 parishes here. Which one are we in today? Welcome back to the East Riding of Yorkshire again, everybody, as we begin what is our final area of the county. There are 5 left and they're all around the town of Beverley. Now, behind me today, you can see there's a construction site, or it's more actually accurately a demolition site. A few years ago, there used to be a school right there. There isn't anymore, it's moved. Let's see where to as we journey around the very big housing estate / parish known as Molescroft. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Molescroft, Mule Field. This week in the East Riding, we're back in the vicinity of Beverley. In fact, by visiting Molescroft, we're within what most people would consider to be the northern reaches of the town, at least by modern definitions. Beverley has expanded outwards greatly over the last few decades. Molescroft has seen a massive increase in terms of housing numbers during that time. Once a small hamlet with a modest number of houses and a few key landmarks, modern-day Molescroft is a gigantic housing estate whose population is made up mainly of commuters. It all changed seemingly overnight. Major housing developments to the north and east of the original village sprung up on farmland, former allotments and unused greenfield sites, firstly in the late 1990s and later on a smaller scale in the 2010s. Once a village with a population of just a few hundred, it's now well over 7,000. So is this episode going to be a boring trot around some housing estates, you ask? Thankfully, no. Molescroft still has a few ancient landmarks and it's also gained several new ones. The latter include a rugby ground, a pub, and a huge pavilion and playing field. We'll also be discussing 3 schools, an old railway line, the route of a familiar trail, a church, and even an 18th century inn. There's more to Molescroft than you might think. Let's go. We start our walk on Church Road outside what remains of a school building. Now, it might just have been the early hour messing with my head. It was around 6 AM here, but this wasn't a primary school as I said in the intro. It was, however, the site of Longcroft Lower School. It was replaced with a brand new £5.7 million building within Longcroft School and Sixth Form, which we'll see later on. Even though nothing's happened with the site since, it will soon have some brand new houses on it, 68 of them to be precise. For now, the old school markings are still on the road, a visual clue to this area's past. Church Road is one of the oldest streets in the village, if not the oldest. These terraced houses are a rare sight in this place because a lot of it is much more modern. Aside from a manor house, Church Road's only real landmark is this phone box, which indeed still has a working telephone. On a roundabout, we then come to the Molescroft Inn, an 18th century pub. It's Grade 2 listed and easily one of the oldest buildings in the village. In its time, this has also been known as the Grapes, the Marquis of Wellington, and the Battle of Trafalgar, the latter honouring Nelson's victory in 1805. On the other side of the roundabout is a church dedicated to St Leonard. A relatively modern church by our standards on this channel, St Leonard's was built in 1896 and it can accommodate 70 people when full. Originally just a small one-room structure, this gained its chancel in 1979 and a vestry shortly afterwards. Another recent extension, which added both a kitchenette and a toilet, has increased the use of the building somewhat today. With that, we're effectively done with Molescroft's historic core. It's all centred mainly around that roundabout. The rest is very different. As we head into the housing estates, we pass a bus stop. Molescroft is served by two buses primarily, the 121 and the 142. Hull, Driffield and Bridlington are all accessible from here, as well as Beverley. So it stands to reason then that having such good transport links makes it a great place for modern commuters to live. These streets all stand on what used to be a sea of green fields, farmland and allotments, and not all that long ago. Most of Molescroft was built in the 1990s and it's gradually been added to ever since. With a population in excess of 7,000 now, it's larger than some small towns. Yeah, generally speaking, it is all housing, Molescroft, so there are going to be times on this walk where I feel like I'm just walking through nothingness, basically. However, having said that, there are some areas which have got some landmarks. Here is one of them. There's a playing field here, which features a few things, including the Molescroft Pavilion and the Molescroft and Beverley Petanque Club. It's been a while since we saw a petanque court. Quick reminder, petanque is similar to bowls, where the aim is to get a ball as close to a target ball or jack as possible. This field has some more regular sports facilities too, like a football pitch and a basketball court, as well as a huge playground. In the middle of it all is Molescroft Pavilion, a hall for functions and local clubs. It includes a kitchen, a meeting room and changing rooms too. Inside it also has a Roll of Honour, which spent many years braving the elements outside the Molescroft Inn. This huge poppy memorial can also be found at the rear. Pig Hill Lane now, where there's really only one landmark, the North Beverley Medical Centre. This road is a dead end, but it becomes a footpath which is shared with a cycleway. There are lots of these around Molescroft. It's a cycle-friendly zone. If you keep following it, you'll pass under a bridge and emerge onto the A1035. This skirts the northern edge of Molescroft and acts as a bypass for Beverley. Much like most of the housing here, this road is also pretty new. Dog walkers will know this area well. Molescroft Car and Ings, over the road, is a secure dog walking field. Staying on this side, next we have another pub, this time the Hayride. The Beverley area has 29 pubs in total, and this is the newest of the lot. It was built around the same time as the bypass in 1996. Popular for food, it became part of the Green King Group in 2016. The younger generations are looked after here too. As well as the Hayride, this little enclosure also features Busy Bee's nursery, because with all this new housing came families. If you live close by, you don't have to use your car. At the back of the pub car park is a gap that leads to Whitefields Close and back to the housing estate. Well, apparently you can hear the chimes of Beverley Minster from here. As I was coming out of that footpath, I heard them in the distance. I'm not all that fond of them, to be honest with you. When I covered Cottingham quite a while ago now, I stayed in Beverley at a hotel that was right next to Beverley Minster, and those chimes go on all night. Kept me awake. On Lockwood Road now, here we have Beverley Grange Nursing Home, which primarily looks after people with dementia. Purpose-built, it can accommodate 75 residents. Next door is a second healthcare facility, which includes an optician's and an audiologist, among other things. There's also a second playground nearby too, meaning you don't have to go all the way to Woodhall Way if you live on this side of the village. It's good to see that the developers of this sea of housing left some bits of the blanket of fields open to the public too. There's a distinct lack of that sardines in a tin type feel. Now we join Wilberforce Way, and again it's a footway and a cycle path. This time though, we're following an old railway line. This was the Beverley to York line, which we've met before in places like Stamford Bridge, Kipling Coates and Market Wheaton. This stretch connected Beverley with Selby, and the nearest station when it was active was Cherry Burton. Just south of here, it meets the still active Yorkshire coastline from Hull to Scarborough. On the junction is the home of Beverley Braves Rugby League Club, who have 9 teams competing in the City of Hull and District Rugby League. In passing through that run of residential property, we've been following the Minster Way, the footpath that connects York and Beverley Minsters together. We've hit the centre of the housing estate now, an ideal place for one of these. Tick off Molescroft, we have a mere 5 left to visit. This central area also has a cluster of shops, the only row in the entire parish. They include a hair salon, a couple of takeaways and a convenience store and post office. On the end of the row is a popular local craft bakery, Fuller's. A family business, it was established in 1996 by George and Heather Fuller. Within the next cluster of streets is Molescroft Primary School and Parish Centre, which serves northern parts of Beverley as well as the village itself. The school is routinely rated outstanding by Ofsted and it's extremely popular. It was founded in 1975. The school is also unique in the East Riding because it's a shared facility with Molescroft Parish Council. Every evening, a screen barrier is lowered inside the building to separate the school from any users of the parish centre. Turning on to the paddock next, we've almost hit the southern boundary now, but not quite. Now, if you carry on walking down this road, you will eventually come to another school, which is over there. The parish boundary is a bit weird here. That school is not within Molescroft, it's just over the border into Beverley. So obviously I'm not going to go towards it. What I am going to do though is go down this path here, which is just off to the right hand side. What this does, it will take us towards a cemetery. We'll go through that and then onto the road that leads back up to the pub and the church where we started. The name of this snicket is officially Bleach Yard, but the house you can see on your left has a sign saying it's Diagon Alley. I didn't meet any witches or wizards along here though, so we'll go with the former. This cemetery is associated with St Mary's Church in Beverley. In the mid-1800s, as its churchyard was becoming full, new sites were needed for burials. 2 were created, one at North Bar Within and this one on Molescroft Road, which opened in 1869. St Mary's Churchyard had closed a decade prior. When you step out of the cemetery, this is how close you are to Beverley, right on the border. Over the road is Gallows Lane, which used to lead to open fields. Executions once took place down there. First recorded in the 1540s, the unfortunate folk were mostly prisoners held in Beverley before their demise. More on that in the Beverley episode. Our final job is to find Longcroft School. This opened as a purpose-built secondary school in 1949, initially with 304 pupils. A year later, it had considerably more, 708. Facilities available at the school are used by many community groups and organisations at evenings and weekends. That last section is a hill. You don't realise the hill's actually there until you're halfway up it, because it just looks flat, but it is a gentle slope back up towards the school and the Molescroft Inn, which you can hopefully see behind me just there. We have completed the circuit of Molescroft, and with it the first of the 5 remaining parishes around Beverley. Time to move on to the next one. Put it in the books everyone, Molescroft is complete. Now to head onto the A1035 and north towards the next parish. Next time we'll be having a look at a place that's seen plenty of military activity in its time. Half of it is off limits to us, but did that stop me exploring it? What do you think? See you next week. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.